All right, so this is just a little test run. Um, it's about button replacement for the Clack boards. This is an older model, which as you can see, buttons go all the way through. These ones you cannot repair with the buttons that are sent from Clack. So these, if you get any of those, they're worthless. You can't do anything with it. So I've got one button on this one that I have to replace. Um, Basically, there are little tinning feet. Sorry for the blur. My camera, I've tried my best to get it to, you know, be a little bit clearer, but there's little tiny feet that sit on a little tinning pad. So normally what I do is I just take a little bit of my flux and put it on the tinning feet. And then I've got a soldering iron, and I actually use a like dental pick. And I lightly pry. I'm kind of like in between the feet. And I know this is an awkward angle, but I basically just lightly touch on the feet, and you kind of got to go back and forth to get them to come up at the same time. It takes a little bit, but you'll start hearing this little kind of click when they start going. It's a little awkward. There we go. There, it's starting to do a little click now. Whoops. It's not really hard. You just got to make sure you don't want to be yanking on it because you can pull them little tenon feet right off. So there we go. There goes the click. Like I said, it takes a little bit. You just bop back and forth and lightly pry, and then it pops up. So once you got it popped up, then I just take a little bit on the back side, and this you just grab from the corner or one of the feet, and I just basically just touch the other side of the feet and go back and forth, and I kind of pull forward as I go, and it pops the button right off. And then basically what I do from there, I just kind of clean up the tenon pad a little bit, like so. And then I basically want to kind of clean off any residual flux that's on here. You're eventually going to end up putting more on when you go to, but I don't think you want a bunch of flux up underneath the brand new button. So you just kind of clean it off like so. And then from there, I get my new button that Bill sent me from Clack. Open it up. And then you just want to basically drop it on there, line it up with the tenon pads that you have. Make sure that the feet, all 4 feet, are in those tenon pads, and then I press down on the button to hold it in place. I just go ahead and hit a little bit of, very little bit of solder. You don't need a whole bunch, just a very, very little bit. And then I just lightly put some flux on, and then just touch base with the feet. Get the one side, the other, like so. And then I go through the back on this side. Same thing, grab a little bit of flux. You don't need solder. You don't need a whole bunch. And then you hold it down again, and you basically just tap it until your feet are attached. All right. This button's nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. Clean your tip. Let me get that out of the way. And then I just go in and I clean as much of this flux off as possible because it is, the type I use is actually kind of like an acid base, so it will eat away at the board if you do not clean it out properly and wipe it down really good. All right, and once that's done, button's attached. And then normally what I do is I've got a valve that's behind me that I hook up the board, I test it. Always make sure that you take the battery out before you start doing any kind of solder work. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but basically I take This last section here, that is, I believe, for the auxiliary. There's little teeth inside my little board holder. I try to get that one in there, and then this is kind of sitting on top of the holder, so that way I'm not bending up my, my little prongs and stuff like that. So, but that's basically how you solder the new buttons on. It's pretty simple. The only other thing is when you're getting towards the like clock button, um, there's like some, I don't know what you would call it. It's almost like a sticky substance that I guess they put it over top of this little chip here, but it tends to run up underneath. So when you're taking this particular button off, you literally have to kind of pry just the feet up as you go, and then a small flat screwdriver to kind of try to pry this button off of the board because it's actually kind of glued because of the sticky stuff they use to cover up that chip. But other than that, you just test the board, see if it works, make sure your buttons work properly, and you should be good to go.